Hello everyone. Today I am going to discuss about the fetal skull. So coming to introduction first, the fetal head is large in relation to the fetal body compared with adult. So if you compare with the adult head, the fetal head is large compared to their body. Okay, and adaptation between the skull and the pelvis is necessary to allow the head to pass through the pelvis during labor without any complication. It means the relationship between the pelvis and the skull, it should be necessary, otherwise the labor procedure will not be happen without any complication. So this is about the introduction of fetal skull. The fetal skull, it is made up with a bone which will protect the brain. Okay, fetal skull is compressible and made mainly with the thin pliable tubular, or we can call flat bone. Okay, and the fetal skull has three major parts, that is vault of the cranium, which is also called as roof, face and base. This is the three major parts that we have in the fetal skull: vault, face and the base. Next, coming to the shape of the fetal skull. As we see in the picture, it is in a oval shape. The fetal skull is in oval shape. Oval means it is not fully round. Okay, it is like semicircular, you can say semi-round, not full round. So it is oval shape. Here is the picture where you can see the difference between the fetal skull and adult skull. It is very clear. This is the fetal skull and this is adult skull, where in the fetal skulls we can see all the suture and that front tunnel very clearly, where in the adult skull it is not there. So this is the difference between the fetal skull and adult skull. So we know there are three major parts in the fetal skull. This is called vault, this front part is called face, and this down one is called as base. So this is the major part in the fetal skull. Next, coming to the bone of the vault. So in that we have two frontal bone, two parietal bone, one occipital bone and two temporal bone. If we see in the pictures, this is frontal bone, this is parietal bone, this is occipital, and the first here we have a temporal bone. So there is two number of frontal bone, two number of parietal bone, with one occipital and two temporal bone. So with this picture you will get a clear idea from the front side and from the back side. So it is very clear, this front there are two frontal bone, there is two parietal bone, and this is only one occipital bone, and in the both two side we have two temporal bone. And this here all the bone and coming and joining together, that part will call frontannulae. I'll tell you about the frontannulae also in details. In this picture you will get an idea from the top of the head, like what are the bone, suture and the frontannulae. So you can go through this picture, you can see it. So it is a top view of the head of the fetal skull. Next, coming to the suture of fetal skull, very important ones. Okay, so it will come based on the bone. So if you see here, this is called as frontal suture because it is joining two bone. Two frontal bone is the joining together with the help of frontal suture. One frontal and one parietal bone is joining with the help of coronal suture. Two parietal bone is joining with the help of suture, that is called as sagittal suture. Parietal and occipital is joining with the help of a suture which is called as lambdoid suture. So there are four suture which we have in the fetal skull: frontal, sagittal, coronal and lambdoid. Next, coming to the frontannulae. So the wide gap between the suture line where two or more suture met, that part, that area is called as frontannulae. So there are two frontannulae in the fetal skull. One is anterior and one is posterior. There are two frontannulae, anterior and posterior frontannulae. So anterior is also called as brachma and posterior is also called as lambda. Why this name came? Because it looked like a diamond shape, still called as brachma, and this is look like a lambdoid shape, so we'll call it as a lambda. So there are two frontannulae, anterior frontannulae and posterior frontannulae. Now here I am going to tell you what is the difference between anterior and posterior. So obviously I have told it is another also name is called as bregma, another one is called as lambda. So the first one, anterior fontanelle or bregma, it is large diamond shape, and the lambda it is small triangular shape. Same thing, it is situated at the junction of the sagittal and coronal and frontal sutures. So in between three sutures, the fontanelle of anterior one is situated, and the posterior one is situated at the junction of lambdoidal sutures. This anterior fontanelle is going to close at 18 months for the when they will be infant, and the posterior fontanelle is going to close at 6 to 12 weeks. So it will be automatically closed for the infant. During infant period only, both the fontanelle is going to closed with the bone. So there will be formation of the bone, and the fontanelle will be going to close it. So that's why in the adult it is not there. So here I am going to show you another picture, that is the region of fetus skull. So from here to here, this area we are going to call as face. This part we are going to call as brow. This is called as vertex, and this from here to here is called as occiput. Here also I have shown you the bone, parietal bone, frontal bone and temporal bone, as well as suture also. Okay, and the fontanelle is also anterior and posterior, and the two suture that is visible from this side, that is coronal suture and lambdoid suture. Next, coming to the diameter of fetal skull. So there we have anterior, posterior or longitudinal diameter and transverse. There are total 10 diameters that we have in the fetal skull. For the longitudinal we have 6 diameters, for the transverse we have 4 diameters. So coming to first, transverse diameter. So in that we have biparietal diameter and bitemporal diameter. So biparietal it is about 9.5 centimeter and which extend between two parietal eminence. Second one is bitemporal diameter, which is measured about 8 centimeter, and it is distance between the anterior inferior ends of the coronal suture. So in this picture we can get an idea about the diameter of the transverse. So this is first one, that is bitemporal, and this is the biparietal. The measurement, one is 8 centimeter, one is 9.5 centimeter. Next we have longitudinal diameter. So in that first one we have suboccipitobregmatic, which is 9.5 centimeter in length. The diameter from the below the occipital protuberance to the center of the anterior fontanelle. The second one is suboccipitofrontal, which is 10 centimeter, and the diameter from below the occipital protuberance to the center of the frontal suture. The next one is occipitofrontal, which is 11.5 centimeter, and the diameter from the occipital protuberance to the glabella. Next we have mantovertical, which is 13.5 centimeter. We have submantovertical, which is 11.5 centimeter. Next we have submantobregmatic, which is 9.5 centimeter. Among these all the diameter, mantovertical is the maximum or biggest diameter, the largest diameter, that is 13.5 centimeter. In this picture you can see all the diameters of the longitudinal diameters, how it extend and what is the measurement, like suboccipitobregmatic 9.5, suboccipital frontal 10 centimeter, occipitofrontal 11.5, submantobregmatic 9.5, mantovertical 13.5, submantovertical 11.5 centimeter. I'll just give you an example. Suppose we will going to study the mantovertical. So this will started from the mantum and it will go to the up to vertex. So that's why it is called as mantovertical, which is 13.5 centimeter in long or length. So like this for all the diameters, you can see through the color of that I have mentioned here. You can see the from where it started and where it's end. So based on that the name also came. Suppose if you go for occipofrontal diameter, so it is started from occiput after the frontal bone. So that's why we call it is occipitofrontal, which is 11.5 centimeter. Now I am going to tell some landmarks that is needed for you to measure the diameters, how we are going to see those. Like first one is occiput. So it is the occipital bone or external occipital protuberance. Next one is sinciput. It is the forehead region of the fetal head. Next, parietal eminence. It are the eminence of parietal on either side. Mentum means it is the chin. Vertical point, it is the center of the sagittal suture. Frontal point, it is the root of the nose. Suboccipital is the junction fetal neck and occiput, where both the junction happen. That area will call as suboccipital. Submentum, it is the junction between the neck and chin. Biparietal is the transverse distance between the two parietal eminence. Bitemporal is the distance between two lower end of coronal suture. So these are the landmark. With this we can measure the diameter of the fetal skull. There is next one called as molding. What is this molding? So it is a reduction in the diameter of the fetal skull which encourages the progress of delivery to reach the maternal pelvis without harming fetal brain. So during the delivery, the whole head is going to be in a different shape for the easiness of the delivery without any complication or without any harm to the baby. Okay, the skull bone are override each other and reduce head circumference. So what will happen? All the skull bone, it will be override each other and it will reduce the size. So there will be easy for the delivery through the vagina. So that procedure is called as molding, and it will be automatically come back to normal shape like after few days of the delivery. You can see in this picture how the molding of the head is occurring. So if it is like this shape, means only for the easiness of the delivery purpose, it is going to change in a different shape. Okay, in that time the bone, it will be overlapping over each other, but after the delivery it will come back to its normal position, but it will take some times. So with this I have finished the fetal skull explanation. So go through all the slide and mainly about the diameter, bone and suture parts. Thank you everyone.